I guess where I want to start out with is why music? Why are you so fascinated with music? Where did this start?
Hmm. Well, um, I think it's always been like a natural talent of mine, kind
Mm-hmm.
of, but I didn't really like it, like for a while. My mom started me in piano lessons when I was like 7, and I was just like, piano, whatever. But it's not really music that I'm into. Like, it's more just creating things. I've always been into creating things, and it took me a while. I took like violin lessons, piano lessons. I was pretty okay with it, but I was just learning, you know, other people's music, and I wasn't really into that. But like all through my childhood, I remember just riding my bike, and I would just create random stories and images in my head, and I would just develop them. And then one day, I like the like my freshman year of high school. No, the summer before my freshman year of high school. I didn't really have any friends, and I was really bored, and so I just picked up a guitar, and I was like, I'm gonna learn play guitar. And so I just like learned "Horse with No Name," by
Yeah,
America,
that's a
because
good
that's
song.
dude, that's the class. That's what everyone learns on guitar first, basically. Not everybody, but that was mine.
That and Smoke on the
And that
Water.
and "Smoke on the Water." And then I don't know. I haven't really learned how to play a cover since then. I just started trying to write my own stuff, and it took me years to like actually get it. Mainly because I think like not just because I was bad at guitar, but it took me years to get good at guitar too. And still I'm not like super good. But I think the big thing about any art form is you have to know why you're doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, especially in music, they just play music because it's like a fun thing to do. It's just like cool. It's a cool thing to do, rock and roll, whatever. you know and that's my first like cohesive music philosophy. Not even cohesive, it was kind of just like, oh, I'm going to make as original music as possible. And but at the time, I had a kind of a weird taste in music. I would just listen to like progressive rock from the 80s, and kind of like my vision was everything just has to be super complicated, and there has to be all these parts and stuff. And I wasn't really trying to create an aesthetic or like express an emotion. And I think that's really an easy trap to get put in too. Like when you're playing music, I still know a lot of people that I like used to play with, that are like pretty experienced, players, and they just kind of like to mess around, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have a cohesive music philosophy. And so I think it really changed. And I'd say there are many moments in my life where I like just became, I don't know if it'd be more self-aware, but I started to have more of an understanding about like myself and the universe around me. And the big one was like the summer before my junior year. I got really into The Cure. You know the band The Cure?
I've never heard of The Cure,
Dude,
no.
you've never heard The Cure? Okay, so The Cure is like the original like emo band, and they're from
Uh-huh.
the 80s, and all their lyrics are super edgy, and they all wear makeup, and all of their stuff is like super minimalist. So it's the exact opposite of what I was listening to, because I was listening to really like insane, like I wasn't just listening to progressive rock. I was listening to a lot of stuff, but that was my main thing. I'd listen to like Yes and like Rush and uh Genesis.
You like Rush, but you don't like Nirvana?
I don't like Nirvana because, see, dude, I just can't get into grunge
Uh-huh.
because, like, the grunge aesthetic, it's just not me. It just kind of like, I can listen to a lot of '90s alternative though, just not grunge. Like, I really like Interpol, if you ever listen to Interpol,
I've heard a
or
couple
like
songs.
Sonic Youth. But they're
Uh-huh.
not really '90s. They're more like late '80s, I guess. Sonic Youth, I love, and
Not even Red Hot Chili
not
Peppers?
Red Hot Chili, dude.
That's my favorite band.
I just can't get into. I mean, like, I just haven't got into it yet,
Uh-huh. That's true, not
because
yet.
there's a lot of stuff where I was like, I'm never gonna like that, and then
Uh-huh.
I eventually, because it's all just understanding. You just have to understand what they're actually saying, and then you're like, oh, I'm into this.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what were we saying? Oh yeah, The Cure, man. I was really into The Cure, and that was like the exact opposite, because there's so much meaning behind everything and like emotion. So then I decided, like, that's the point of music, is to like express as much emotion as possible. And that's when I wrote like my first good song, I would consider. And I don't even know where it came from too. Cuz like a lot of I basically like this one song I wrote. I based all like my the rest of my musical style off of, which you didn't really like get the full taste when you watched
That
me.
was definitely our town's acceptable music for
Yes.
the place we were at.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why, because like I do love folk music,
Mhm.
and that was kind of a big influence later, was folk music. But I really want to play with like a full band one of these days. But anyways, um, so yeah, that's when I like first started like, and I don't know how, because it was like if you listen to the first song I wrote, it like sounds like all these different things that I just hadn't even listened to yet. But maybe I just maybe it was just always inside, and then I just had to like find it and then like figure out how to put it together. But yeah, I just kind of learned how to truly express myself. And now, like, man, I don't even know what it is. It's not even emotional expression. It's just like who I am. And it's just everything I do, I feel like is just contributing to the music I make, And it's
Mhm.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff.
What do you think of today's music world? Because when we look at our music world today, it is not about creating. It's not about exactly what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
about fame, fortune, and how can I get as much clout as I can.
Yeah. Well, I would say honestly, like a lot of people looking back, they're like, "Oh, dude, rock and roll was so cool." But it's kind of like rap and rock. I feel like are way more related than people like think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least, yeah, than people think, because just like philosophically, because rock and roll, dude, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man.
That's
What
true.
are like all rap songs about?
That's very
Like,
true. That's very
yeah,
true.
yeah, and
I would even say both rap and rock came at a time in our culture where it was a point of rebellion.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. And but also like at the same time, rock and rap are made to be very like consumable, because back then, like the main way to make music, you had to get on like the top 100 list so radios would play your music, right? So you had to make your music as consumable as possible if you wanted any airtime, and that's how people would like listen to new music, and then they'd buy your records. And now it's like with streaming, as like a main revenue source, you have to get like a billion streams to turn a profit, because you get
Yeah.
like 0.05 cents to every stream, which is crazy.
Do you think it's harder to get into the musical realm in today's world, or 20 years ago? Because I think about that, and I couldn't tell you which one I think is harder, because I would say today it's easier to get exposure, but at
Yeah.
the same time, there's so many other people competing with you. It's almost as harder as it was with gatekeepers, where they would, I don't know, I guess with gatekeepers, they kind of, it's unlikely that you would even get any exposure at
Yeah.
all, but I feel like there's less competition because of gatekeepers.
Yeah, I would say like in every generation there has been the same amount of people that are willing, not just willing to like put in the effort to do something cool, like music, but also just willing to do something completely original. Because I don't think it's about like I don't think it's about scarcity, like there has to be a scarcity of music for artists to survive. I think everyone just has to find their own niche, and I think a lot of times that's what people don't understand, is it doesn't really matter. Like there's probably some dude in like I don't know, like Nashville, that's one of the greatest guitar players of all time, like technically, but he only plays like country rock that's in the style of the 60s. Like that's cool. He can do that, and he can probably make like good, like an okay living doing that. But at the end of the day, he isn't playing any original style, and if you see like one big band from today, Greta Van Fleet. Have you heard of Greta Van Fleet before?
I think so.
They're kind of like, they're like, oh man, this is like, when I first started playing guitar, I didn't really know that much about rock music and stuff. I didn't listen to that much music that wasn't like, I guess, when did I get into? I got into a lot of 60s rock before I got into 70s rock, like Led Zeppelin and stuff. But a lot of people say they copy Led Zeppelin, which kind of makes sense if you look at like their image and stuff like that. And I think they do, to be honest. But you know, even disregarding that, they're playing like in a style that is way back from like the 70s. It's been going on forever. It's very hard to like create any innovation in this style, you know? And the reason they are like got so popular, if you look at it, it wasn't because they were like playing live anywhere, and it wasn't because, well, like, yeah, it wasn't because usually people like start out playing live. It was basically like their dad was a dentist and he paid for all their studio time, you know? And then they
What'd you call what band are you talking about?
Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, I have a song in my playlist by them, and they are a lot like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, they are a lot like Led Zeppelin. I wouldn't say they're exact copies. It's just like the reason that they were able to do that is because they basically have a lot of like they were able to get past that first like really hard curve into notoriety, and then once you get notoriety, it's just like smooth sailing from there. And so that's really like the curve you have to get off, and it's either like A, you have like a lot of money, or B, you're doing something that no one else is doing, you know?
Do you want notoriety, or do you just want to create? Because I want to talk about your homeless adventure that you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Let's hear about your homeless adventure plan.
Oh, well, basically, I don't know, like after COVID, well, I hadn't really gone anywhere like before COVID that much. I haven't traveled in a while, and I really was like stoked to travel like before COVID happened, you know, that summer, and then COVID happened and I was stuck here, you know, for another year. And basically I just decided, you know, I just wanted to go somewhere new, but I just don't want to like be tied down by like a car or anything like that, because, you know, like you always worry like about like a car breaking down or something like that, or being stolen, you know? So basically me and my friend, we just decided to buy a train ticket to Eugene, and then like from Eugene we're going to Florence or like Oregon, on the Oregon coast, and we're just basically taking buses all the way up the Oregon coast.
Where are you going to sleep?
On the ground.
On the ground?
In parks, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, basically. We'll see when we get there.
Are you just traveling, or are you going to play music while you go down
on
the street?
Well, we're traveling. I think like we're basically going to spend like 2 or 3 weeks traveling, and at the end we're going to Bellingham, and I have not a lot of friends, but I have a few friends in Bellingham, and then there's some people that I kind of want to start a band with. So I'm basically just going to spend like a week there checking out the music scene. Because last time I was there, I've only been there like once, but last time I was there, like everything was still pretty shut down. So there wasn't that big of a music scene to be seen, you know?
Well, I think that is exactly what you have to do if you want to be an artist, in a sense, is give it your all. 100%, not 50, not, hey, me and my buddies are going to play some music after work.
Yeah.
You have to give it your all. 100%.
Yeah, I definitely say, like, for me, I don't even know if it's like I'm giving it my all, because it's just what I like want to do all the time. Like it's all I ever think about is like music and how to create new music. And like for a while, this is like one of my big beliefs, is for a while, like my first year or like a year into like when I really started creating something cool, that's all I focused on was music. And eventually I was like, what do I create now? Because I just kind of ran out of ideas. And so I kind of realized that you have to like go really hard on music, but you also kind of have to have like human experiences for like inspiration, you know? And I get like a lot of inspiration off of just like reading books, and a lot of inspiration from,
I think the homeless traveling is such a good idea when it comes to inspiration. Obviously it has its risks and its fears, but I think you're totally right, because when you look at, for me as an artist who paints and draws, if I wanted to go into a career like that, there's so much competition out there. And if I went to a college right out of high school, right, what am I going to bring to the table? I grew up in a small town, and I can draw, that's bullshit. If you go out into the world and like, hey, I just backpacked Europe, and I just met all these cool people, and I have all these stories that I can tell and share with the world. That's gonna make you way more creative and more likely to succeed in an art scene.
Definitely. I would say like this is kind of a philosophy I've been developing right now, and how I think of it is like everybody is just kind of fragments of every experience they've ever had and every emotion you've ever felt. And like our truest art is just kind of like us, just like an impression of like all those fragments, rearranged in different ways. And yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. I've heard someone say humans are like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right? We lose pieces, we gain pieces, and that just makes we're just a combination of our experiences. And so to segue with that, if you're comfortable, what was your childhood like? What do you think was good, bad, whatever you want to share? What has made you who you are?
My childhood, I don't know if my childhood was interesting or not. I don't know. I wasn't like, I feel like a lot of people are more aware as children, and I wasn't that aware because I didn't have like that many responsibilities besides like looking after myself, because I grew up like my dad didn't really help out that much. Like he left when I was like 3, and I like only saw him like once a month. And my mom, she was raising me and my 2 brothers, and so she was working like all the time, nonstop. So I would basically, I just like learned how to feed myself, and I just learned how to entertain myself. And I think that was like a big thing that helped my creativity, is I would just like have to figure out things to do. So I would just like climb trees and stuff and create stuff in my head. I was just always thinking, And so yeah, my childhood was it was like, I think it set me up to be a very independent person, because I had 2 older brothers, but they didn't really like look after me. They were only like 3 years older than me, and they were always kind of doing their own thing. Did I sneeze?
No, I just had to sniff my nose. I didn't want to sniff right into the mic.
But yeah, that was basically my childhood. And I don't know, like when I think about it, I did like, because also like my mom was working all the time, I could get away with a lot of stuff. So a lot of times, like I'm kind of lucky. I feel like children whose like parents didn't pay attention to them that, like I don't think my mom didn't pay attention to me that much, but who are given a lot of freedom, that don't end up doing like crazy stuff that will hurt them in the future. Like I think it's pretty lucky people turn out like that, because I never got like heavy into drugs or anything at all. I would just like walk a lot, and that was it. And I remember like in middle school, I would just walk to and from school every day, and I lived like the middle school in town, and I lived all the way in Kootenai. So I would just walk like 4 miles.
That's
to
a pretty
school.
big walk.
It's a pretty big walk.
For a kid.
It'd take me like 2 hours each way, and I remember I would just like hang out in town and just like go on random adventures, and take me like, I'd get home at like 9. No one would really know I was gone, and just be like, yeah. But yeah, I think it definitely set me up for like a lot of independence, which is good.
I totally agree with you when it comes to kids kind of being alone. Because for me, like, I didn't really have a whole lot of friends when I was in elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
And I had an older brother, and my older brother kind of like was the older brother, right? The football player, right? So you're in that shadow, and I wouldn't say I was in his shadow, but I just didn't really have that many friends. And so that made me I'm so happy for that, because I remember being in elementary school and always just drawing, always just thinking of characters in my head. In the corner, making little sound effects while I'm drawing, making a little story in my head with my characters. And I feel like that's really common with a lot of artists, is some sort of either tragedy or lonesomeness factor, or something that's not normal. It has to be something peculiar that happens to them that creates them artistic.
Yeah, no, I think I would. I don't know I don't know that many artists, but for me, definitely, I didn't learn how to make friends until like 2 years ago. I was just like my high school when I first started playing guitar, my high school was like kind of not that fun at all because I just go home every day and I just like sit and play guitar, and that's like all I would do for like the first 2 years. And it was weird though because I was pretty well known in my high school, but I was just way too like in my head about my ego all the time. And I also, so like a lot of the stuff I do, I was just like kind of known as like the really weird kid, and I was just like really weird, and I was kind of like a spaz, and I had like a massive afro and stuff.
I remember that.
I used to wear a necklace made out of Fruit Loops. It was actually pretty cool. But I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. I just like didn't really make any like close friends. Like I knew everybody in my school, and I still do. But then like my junior year, I kind of just decided, well, actually the whole story is, so like my freshman year, I started a Sasquatch hunting club. And so there's a bunch of like random people in the Sasquatch hunting club. And then like my junior year, I just kind of, before that year, before the beginning of my junior year, that was when I realized that I was like actually sad, and I started like paying attention to my emotions. And I was like, dang, how am I going to fix this? And I was like, yeah, well, I'll just start by like making friends. So that year for Sasquatch Hunting Club, I just forced everybody to hang out with each other. And I just like, we have random events, and then it kind of like morphed into like a weird friend group, and it still like exists now. Like everybody in Sasquatch Hunting Club, like all the people I hang out with are like in Sasquatch Hunting Club. It's pretty cool, you know? But yeah, no, it's a lonesome life sometimes.
It is. And if you want my opinion, I think for me, I would rather, I'm glad everything in my life that has happened to me because it's made me such an independent person. I feel like a lot of people in this world are so dependent on other people that they are just so dependent on what they look like, who they are, and what they are, instead of appreciating who they are, what they are, and who their friends are, and where they are, and just appreciate that we're alive. You know, we exist. We are allowed to breathe instead of worrying about what kind of shoes you wear, you know?
No, I would definitely agree with me. I'm glad that I honestly, I don't like this year after quarantine, I just stopped going to high school because I just get way too in my head about random things, you know? And it just made me someone who I like didn't really feel I was. And that's like kind of a common thing, like especially at that point, because I started making like, it's weird. I started feeling like there's two people inside of me, you know, because I was making all this like really calm, like textural, like sad music, kind of, not really that sad, you know, but then also I was like super outgoing, and I still am. I'm still super outgoing and stuff. But it just like couldn't really connect. I didn't really know how to show this side to a bunch of random people, you know, especially like in that big of a space. So I just kind of stopped going to school. And after I started like being in that massive like social ecosystem, the two sides just kind of like went together and just morphed like one coherent, what's the word?
Coherent person?
Not person, like specifically personality, I guess. Yeah, one coherent personality, you know? So, yeah.
I relate to that. I totally relate to that. I definitely remember feeling the same way, that there's two people inside of me, one the extrovert and the one introvert, one, you know, super positive, one super negative. And it's the old tale, the old Indian tale or the old Japanese tale, whichever one you want to choose, of the two dragons inside of you. You know that tale? Whatever dragon or wolf you feed, that's who you're going to become. And that's kind of something I've realized recently, is not like I like this quote of, because I'm somebody who's very paranoid. I'm a very paranoid, anxious person, but you can't live. There's two ways to live life: live life in fear, or live with fear. Because no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you're always going to have the little voice in the back of your head that's like, you're a failure, you're a loser, this guy's going to kill you, like, get out of here, you're not good enough, or like, you got to get out of here, this place is going to, like, there's, like, for me at least, there's people here, they're going to kill you, they're watching you, they want to kill you, right? That's what I fear. It's just like not knowing where I'm around, but And then like I said, like whatever wolf you listen to
Yeah.
and feed, that's where you're gonna become, because you can either be like,
Mm-hmm.
you're great, you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're the best person on this planet in your own eyes, you know.
Yeah.
And these people aren't here to kill you. They're here. They love you. They're great people. Or
Yeah.
whatever happens, right? That was just an example.
Yeah.
But so I guess let me ask you this question then. This is like the big question, right?
Big question.
The podcast question is, why is there birth? How come it leads to death? And what's the point of the stuff in between?
Well, I would say like objective reality does not exist. You know, I don't think everybody's living for the same reason, at least consciously.
Or on this, like, yeah, the same conscious frequency.
Yeah.
Like, not trying to call anyone out, but you go to Walmart and you see some people and you're just like, who, like, how are you not conscious?
It's weird. Yeah, no, I think it's a really weird experience. I know like a lot of people who for like years, and they just like haven't changed at all, you know?
I hate, sorry to interrupt you. I just something to go in with that is, I cannot stand people who complain about things and don't change.
Yeah.
They say they can recognize that they're at their fault in this example or whatever, and then they won't change that fault.
Yeah. No, it's weird. But wait, what were you asking? Oh yeah.
Why is there birth? Let's start out with that one. Why is there birth,
dude?
And how come it leads to death?
Well, I'll just go on a rant here.
Go on a rant.
Have you ever read any like Carl Jung?
Are we talking about philosophers?
Yeah.
Not Carl Jung yet, right? We're talking about that, right? Not yet. But Alan Watts.
Alan Watts goes hard. Well, like Alan Watts, I think was inspired a lot by Carl Jung. Because if you look at like Alan Watts's writings, he basically kind of interlocks like every religion. Like he sees like the similarities between everyone, and he kind of like interlocks them into one cohesive philosophy, you know? And that's what I would say. I would say there's something everybody's getting at. There's some like weird collective consciousness that everybody's experiencing, you know, and you can call it the Tao, and you can call it God, or like Brahman or whatever, you know, depending on what religion. But I think it's all the same, you know, and the closer you get to that through whatever means, you know, that kind of, oh man, I don't really know about, you know, like next lives or whatever, but in this life it definitely makes you live a more meaningful life.
It totally does. To what you're saying, I'm reading a book right now. I think it's called The 7 Principles of the Soul, or the 7, it's something like that. I forgot, I'm butchering the name, of course, but I read this sentence, and it's so true of exactly what you're saying when it comes to like religion is all we are is the universe folding in on itself to view itself. Yeah. And that's totally true, because like when you think about it, when you like, you have to raise your consciousness and to get to this level of thinking, but we are truly all one. Yeah. Like the only thing that separates me from you in the plant, in the wood on the wall, and this table is our egos. Yeah. And what describes it, whether it's the table or you or that water bottle. But we are truly all one. We're all I like how Alan Watts says it, is we're all a happening. Yeah. No. I like to think about that. Like the reality, or like the universe is just like water, and we're just all like the different ripples, you know? And that's a good way of saying it. But what were we talking about? Birth? Yeah. I guess and death. Birth and death. What's before and what's after this? Well, okay. I think to understand that, you do have to understand your own, like your own nature, the nature of your own consciousness, you know, because, you could go in the direction of like, we're just, you know, meat bodies on this rock planet, you know, and once we die, it's just like going to sleep. But if you're going to discount every other thing, I feel like you have to discount so many like phenomena that are like very well measured, you know, like the phenomena of like intention, you know, like have you ever looked at like the intention plant experiments? I feel like I have. Explain it to me. Yeah, it's basically like people take like two different
plants and like maybe a control or whatever. And at one plant they think like really negative thoughts.
Yes.
And at the other one, and the one with positive thoughts like grows, right? So basically, if that happens and if like all variables are like completely controlled and like completely the same, that implies that our thoughts basically exist in some sort of dimension and interact with this plant and inhibit or dehibit its growth, you know?
It really
so
does.
If our thoughts exist somewhere, then that means like we kind of exist somewhere. And you know, and I think that science really like, I don't think it's evolved to the point to like describe everything, you know? Like eventually one of our key principles that we measure everything by is I think going to be disproven through some way, like, you know, and that will kind of lead to a connection of science and spirituality. Or like I think spirituality is just like, it's just like the unexplainable, you know?
It really is.
And like our, you know, like the nature of our own consciousness, you know?
And I think that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is part of the fun. It's part of the game that we were playing, the story, the movie. Because I mean, if you ask me, if I knew exactly, like, let's say like, oh, when you die, like you're going to get reincarnated or you're going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
Then what's the point? There's no fun in that.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to want to go climb Mount Everest or start a podcast or listen to music or anything. There would be no point. It's like, let's say there's only heaven, right? There's no hell, no consequences. There's only heaven. Well, I'm going to fucking do whatever I want then. I'm going to go rob that bank over there. Or I'm going to go, you know, do whatever I want. Or even then, like, as not trying to get dark, but like I'll kill myself because why would I want to be here?
Why would we want to be here? Yeah.
Where there's negativity, there's, you know, wolves that can eat me, car crashes, all this horrible things and all the good stuff. But if there is just a guaranteed finish point, why would we want to exist?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely a thing. I don't think we'll ever be able to conceive like what's going to happen after or like anything else. I think it's going to be extreme, or if we do, it's going to be extremely hard to, and like we're going to have to like evolve in some way.
Totally.
You know? But I think the other thing is, I think like the concept of heaven is kind of overrated, to be honest, because I think like I always think of everything as like contrast, you know, ups and downs. And if everything's just good all the time, you have nothing to compare that to, you know? And I think like we're kind of living like, depending on your outlook on life, you can live in like heaven on earth, you know, because you can really, I think this is the big thing with knowledge too, you know, like you can't do anything, you know, unless you put like a ton of work into it, but it's really easy. You can know anything that is already known, you know, you can learn concepts, you can learn anything. That's why I think reading and knowledge and education is super cool, you know, especially if you do it like by yourself, because then you kind of have not really like an unadulterated view of the world, but you can kind of, if you do a lot of critical thinking, you can be like, oh, you know, this person's trying to sway me this way, this person's trying to sway me that way, you know?
Totally. You said it before I could. I was going to say that is like when you go to school and you listen to somebody as much, like I like Alan Watts a lot, but that's his point of view.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You know, and like let's say like he values hash browns more than I do. I fucking love hash browns. Yeah. But for sake of argument, he's gonna talk about hash browns more than I would. Yeah. And that's gonna affect his teaching, his philosophies, his everything, because that's him. But if you, like, same thing with college, you know, so if you take the time to put your head down, spend all this, you know, couple of years learning what you want to learn, anything's possible. Anything.
Yeah, I think there's like, especially this day and age, there's a lot of things you can learn on your own. Like I think college,
especially with the internet.
Like I'm not gonna, I would never like discount like entirety of college, but like because I'm kind of like on the fence still about like whether I'm gonna go to college or not. Like I got a good amount of money in like scholarships, so I think I might do like online school for a while. But this is the other thing. Like, I don't think the point of going to college should be to get a degree to be able to go work somewhere, you know? Like, especially because I really wanted to go into music business and audio engineering. But no, like, not many people in the music, like, in the actual music industry have a degree in music business, you know? So, it's kind of like, well, then, like, what else would I do at college? And I was like, well, I could just learn stuff, you know? But I know a lot of people who, like they go to college, but they also will just walk into random, like, lectures and stuff and just sit through them. And honestly, like, if I could just do that and not have to pay for college, man, I'd be good, because then I'm getting an education, don't have to pay for it. But, like, that's the thing. Like, the way our society is set up, you need a degree to make, like, a certain amount of money, unless you're going to go and, like, make everything yourself. You know, those are kind of your two routes.
When it comes to you and me, we're lucky and unlucky.
Yeah.
And before I explain that, I think I think the point of college is to learn, is to get a degree. But I think the point more for college is to have that just experience, you know?
Yeah, no.
Let's
definitely.
go to Denny's at 4:00 in the morning because we went to a fucking frat party and partied all night, right?
Yeah.
And this is the coolest professor I've ever met right here. That's the point of college.
Yeah.
Making connections with people. And, you know, for me, who, like, as an artist, and I'd at one point I would love to make TV shows and movies. If I were to go to college, like, I'm not there to learn. Obviously I am, but I'm there to learn. I'm there to meet you, who has this beautiful sense of music. And so you're going to help me make my music track, my score for my movie.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. It's just making connections.
Totally.
That's like one of, like, the one, like, you know, I'd make a lot more connections if I went to college. And that's, like, not everybody. Like, there's one guy in particular who I know who, like, went to college. He got his bachelor's degree. I think he double majored in, like, music education and music composition, and he really wants to become a composer. But it's so strange because, like, well, he grew up like kind of in, like, a small town, like, not that far, like a really small town, not that far from here. And so he hadn't really like met anybody, and that's kind of why he went, is because he wanted to make connections, and that's why he's set. But, like, the other thing is he, like, has no idea what he wants to express through music. You know, it's just kind of, he's like, music's cool, you know, and he's a great musician too, is the thing. Like, he can play, like, so many instruments and can play everything perfectly, but he has no clue what to express, you know? And I think that's the key, is, like, college won't really teach you, like, artistically, like, how to express stuff, or not like how to express it, but what you want to express. You have to find that on your own, you know?
Totally.
And it'll introduce you, like, I think this is the other thing, is, like, a lot with music school is it's all, like, music theory and, like, music history, kind of, you know, a bit. And then, like, a lot of, you know, like, technical stuff, like taking music classes, playing in ensembles and stuff. But like, what really interests me about music is, like, just as an art form, like, how people express, the different philosophies behind why people express, and, like, how it's evolved throughout the years. And I don't think they really, like, tell people about that. They're just like, here's music, this is what it is, it's a bunch of notes.
Totally.
And at this point, like, I know enough music theory to, like, express, like, what I want to express. So I don't really need to know any more music theory, because, like, at this point it's just like, you can do this, you know, like there's a lot of, not to get off track, but in music theory there's a lot of, like, rules. If you want something to sound good, you follow, like, these rules. But all of music theory was basically, like, written during, like, the Baroque period. So the rest of it is just, like, how to compose music in the Baroque, in the style of how they did, like, the Baroque period. So a lot of it is like, you can't stack, like, perfect fifths or whatever, but then, like, you do, and it sounds completely fine, you know? But yeah, I just think, like, that's really the key, is learning what you want to express first before anything else, you know? Or not anything else, but at least learning it at some point.
Yeah, that's why I was that's why I said we're lucky and we're unlucky.
Yeah.
Because we're lucky because, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I have a good sense of expression, and so do you. And so we don't have to worry about the creativity side.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll have our down moments where nothing's happening, but we'll always get inspiration from something. But the point where we're unlucky is we don't have connections.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know John Stewart, the best painter in the world, and Michael Douglas, the best music composer in the world. But and if you did, and you brought your best A game to the table, and he was like, "Hey, shit, this kid's got it.
Yeah,
you're sailing. You're good." So that's why you got to go to, in a sense, to college to meet Michael Douglas, to meet John Stewart, because they're gonna have a lecture on Tuesdays this next month. And if you go there and you maybe, you know, bug him a little bit, he might give you a second to look at your creativity, and then he's like, well, shit, maybe I can make some money off this kid, or maybe I can collaborate with this kid and go somewhere with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just have to be really good at networking, you know?
Yeah, networking, for sure.
Networking, you know? Yeah.
So what's the point of the stuff in between?
Oh, the stuff in between? That's a good question. I would say to learn how you want to live, and then live how you want to live.
Learn how you want to live.
Yeah.
And then live how you want to live. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. I think that was one of the biggest revelations I had recently was kind of like that you can really just be whoever you want to be. Not really like there's nothing stopping you. Like not whoever you want to be. You can only like really be yourself, but you can be like the best version of yourself possible. Yeah. You know?
When it comes to the thoughts, right? When we were talking about that, it's totally exactly what you're talking about. Because if you're negative Nancy all the time in your head, well, shit, dude, you're going to be laying in bed all day because all you do is feed the negative wolf. But if you're super positive, you're going to be the best Kjetil out there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think that's the key. Like I've finally this year learned how to be productive, actually.
So same here, dog. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, no, like I was like, oh man, I can actually like do stuff. This is crazy. Right? I can complete things. Wow. Yeah.
I just for me, like my mindset was like, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
And like something will happen. Like, do you like Pink Floyd?
Yeah.
This is like Pink Floyd, so cliche, right?
Yeah,
me over here,
dude,
trying to talk to you like I know music.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon,
he
man.
Says, sitting around in your hometown waiting for something to show you the way. Like that's exactly my mindset was like, just kind of waiting for something to happen. It's like, no, dude, get off your fucking ass, get shit done.
Yeah, no,
stop wasting time. Stop getting drunk with your buddies. Stop watching Netflix and jerking off. Get up, get your shit going. Yeah, because that's what's gonna make you successful.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And honestly, like I think the biggest thing that contributes to that is just like fear of failure.
Yes.
You know? Like that's why I feel like I would never really do stuff, is I just thought that I wouldn't like be able to get anywhere, you know? Especially like here, because one big thing is I've just like never really been able to find like musicians that are like cuz you just have to have musicians that are like committed enough, and then like have like a vision, you know,
together collectively.
Collect like a collective vision, you know, or at least like a semblance of that, you know, because it's just really hard to like, I don't know, especially because I was in high school for like most of the time.
And you're in this poo-dunk small town hick ass shit, dude.
Yeah,
you're not gonna find it here.
Yeah, no
way.
I've met like 2 people to play music with. But yeah, no, it's hard, you know, and it's like hard to explain to people, especially because like all I do is listen to music, and I just like have all these influences, and then like to be able to like describe that to people who just listen to one genre, it's just like crazy. It's crazy to me that people can listen to like one genre. Like I have a friend who basically just listens to like one band, and that's it. And sometimes I think like, oh wow, how are you doing this and still like having fun? But sometimes it's like those people just have like they're hearing something that you aren't hearing.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely a part of going through this stuff in between is you change. About change.
About change.
Us humans are so afraid of change, but it happens so much that we'll never notice. So like think about who you were a year ago.
Yeah,
completely different person. At least for me, a year ago, I was a completely different person. And next year, around this time, I'll be a completely different person.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy how much that happens.
I don't know how that was related, but it was a good thought.
Yeah.
It what do you think of modern rap music?
I mean, it's I like I listen to I think I just haven't gotten into it yet, you know? It's just one of those things where I just haven't cuz I only discover like I know like the basics of most genres and then I just really go hard on one genre for like a year. Like this year I was going really hard on like IDM and like experimental music from like the 90s and onward, you know, and like ambient music and just like everything kind of electronic, you know? And I never thought I was going to get into that because like a year ago today, I was super into folk music, you know?
Do you like Carbon Leaf?
Who's that?
Okay, thank God. Because I told my mom if I meet somebody and they like Carbon Leaf, I have to marry them.
Okay.
Because that's my
dude, you don't want to marry
other
me?
family favorite band. I'm sorry, dog.
Carbon Leaf. What type of music do they play?
Folk music, total folk music.
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
You should totally check them out. Carbon Leaf.
What year? Well, like what year?
2004 Indian Summer.
Indian Summer.
Listen to that album.
Okay.
Super good.
Cool.
Definitely
yeah.
one of my favorite albums.
No, the reason I like folk music a lot because I still do. I kind of got like out folk music a little bit for like a while, but I just started getting back into it. Is because it's kind of like if you think about it. Folk is just punk music for calm people because it's like
That's
it's
so
it's a
true.
minimalistic music. Like a lot of people like kind of don't really know how to play like their instrument that well, and it's all just based around like the lyrics and the emotional expression, and then also like a lot of times like political sentiments, you know, with like Bob Dylan and stuff.
Yeah.
So-
That's so funny.
And it's
You're
also
right.
it's also like super DIY. My favorite folk artist is this guy Michael Hurley. Have you ever heard of Michael Hurley?
No.
He was like early 60s. And all his songs are just about like how he's an alcoholic and just like how he's homeless and stuff.
That's dope.
But he used to be like addicted to like old school Chinese railroad opium.
Nice.
But he's such a good songwriter, man. Yeah. But no, folk music is great. And that's the only like I used to play like strictly electric basically. But for the past more than a year now, I've only been playing acoustic. But the other thing is like I'm into like because I kind of have like a very minimalistic view on music because there's so many people that own like hundreds of guitars and they're like, oh, look at this guitar, look at this guitar, oh, you know. And I just kind of decided like I want one guitar to embody like at least this like what I'm doing now, you know. And so I got this acoustic guitar. You've seen my guitar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has like the mirror on it that I glued onto it to look like Hakusai's The Wave because I love that painting. And then like also, but yeah, I'm gonna try to put like electric guitar pickups in it and like all this stuff because I also really like post punk and like kind of not noise music but like indie from like the 90s like Sonic Youth and Interpol again, really good. But yeah, I think I don't even know why I was talking about that, but yeah.
I forgot. We were just talking about. I don't know. That's
folk music. We're talking about folk music.
Train wreck right
but
there.
yeah, no. I just think the acoustic guitar very nice.
Do you like
folk
Camp?
music. Camp?
Yeah.
Who's Camp?
It's pretty folky music. It's like CAAMP. They're pretty good. Check them out.
No, I don't listen to that much modern folk. Is the thing.
Oh.
I think it kind of like. Yeah, I listen like, geez, yeah, I only listen to like Nick. You ever listen to Nick Drake? No. Nick Drake's really good. Michael Hurley, Jackson C. Frank, he's really good lyricist. But I kind of I don't listen to that much modern folk just because I think like it got kind of, I think folk now, just like punk now in a way has just been like watered down from its like original, like how it was originally. And it's just kind of like, exists purely for aesthetic purposes. You know, I think that happens with a lot of genres as they get older. And that's like fine too. Like I bet there's some new folk that I like if I thought about it. I have a friend, my friend in Bellingham, Aiden, he's like a really good folk artist. And he writes cool. Oh, no, dude. Only good like not the only, but my favorite, like one of my favorite bands of all time that's like pretty modern is Fleet Foxes. Which is really weird because I'm usually anti like hipster coffee shop music. Okay. But if you listen to like one of their whole albums, because they're pretty popular, Besides their newest album, that was not good. But on any of their whole, especially Crack Up, they use like a bunch of crazy, because it's all like folk music, kind of like folk rock. But then they use a bunch of like crazy, like experimental, like tape loops and stuff. They use like waves to like create rhythm and like sample like old jazz songs. It's insane. And then also the songwriter is just like extremely talented. But folk music.
Folk music.
Yeah.
You should advertise for these people.
I know. Yeah.
What do you think karma? Do you think karma exists?
That's a good question. Like, I think karma, as in like the fact that if you do something horrible, then like in a later life it will like bite you in the butt.
So you believe in reincarnation?
I mean, like, no, I'm just talking about like
tossed around the idea in your head.
I've thought about it, like, because it kind of makes sense to me in like a weird way, but also I wouldn't be like, reincarnation, that's it, man. If you're not believing in reincarnation, what are you doing?
That's so funny.
But like, I don't know. I don't really care because it doesn't really, like, what happens after I die does not affect me now. You know?
I love that.
If I think about it, like, if you really think about it, I'll just cross that bridge when I get there. But like karma in the sense that like you do something bad will happen to you, something good. Like that, I don't know about that. But I definitely think that like there are people in life that you're supposed to meet.
I totally believe that.
And that you're just like, like I always use the word karmically entwined. Like, I love it. I'm just like, there's some people that I just look at and I'm like, that person, I think I might have done this with you actually. Because when we started working together.
We're a lot alike, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like from this conversation, a lot of the stuff you said, I'm like, I'm still the same way.
Yeah.
That's
but
so cool.
because when I first like saw you, I was like, that kid, you know?
That's crazy.
And I do that like even with like reading.
Because you're psychic, remember?
Dude,
you're psychic.
I am psychic. No, dude, I actually just have crazy intuition. Not crazy intuition. Sometimes my intuition's way off. But like, because that experience, for the listeners at home, basically there was this person, what's her name, that works at
Naomi,
that works at a freaking Dubs, and I just walked in and I was like, hey, you look like the type of person that plays piano, and then she was like, yeah, because she's been playing piano for like 9 years. I had never talked to her before or knew her.
Yeah.
But actually at first when I looked at her, when I went to Dubs before, I was like, that person plays bass. But then I was like, oh, actually that person plays piano. And then I was like, boom.
So why
but also she has been learning bass. I think I talked to her and she said that.
Maybe.
But that happens like one time back when I used to run cross country. There was someone on my cross country team that I remember just looking at and is like, there's a willow tree. There's a really big willow tree in your backyard, isn't there? And you used to play there as a kid.
That's crazy.
But I think like that's like some weird trait that you just know there's some people and you say them and you're like, dang, there's like a 50% chance that person had a willow tree in their backyard and they played on it as a kid.
Is this just something that like you just do instinctively, impulsively?
Maybe.
You can't do it? Or like, is there like a voice? There's like 3 voices: bass, piano, guitar, and the piano sounds a little more like it.
Yeah. I would say it's more like, I think intuition. Dude, this is something David Lynch has said. I'm straight up stealing a David Lynch quote right now.
I love David
But
Lynch.
intuition is like what makes us human because it's a mix between emotion and intellect,
That's good.
And I always think of like intuition really relating, because I'm really into Taoism, and I used to be. I'm still into Taoism, but I think it's all like the same,
Mm-hmm.
But still really like Taoism. I think that's like like kind of a concept that's very Taoist, So I've always been into that. But yeah, so I just think intuition, it's something that's there.
What do you try to read me? What do you got for me? I'll tell you if you're right or not.
At one point in your life, you were really into Yetis.
Yetis. That's kind of right, because I wouldn't say I was like obsessed with Yetis.
Yeah.
But I used to have this Yeti toy that I fucking loved. I loved that bastard. I would get my G.I. Joes, my Power Ranger toys, and they would go and fight the Yeti.
That's a classic right there. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I
That's
could have just
weird.
guessed. Or it could have been intuition.
Well,
man.
I think that is a part of it. I think it's both.
It's both at the same time.
I think it's totally intuition, because I believe in intuition.
Yeah.
I believe in, energy, karma, all this, whatever. Because I felt it. Next question in a second. Actually, let me explain.
Okay.
I totally feel that kind of stuff. Not on your fucking level.
Yeah.
Not at all. No way. But for me, deja vu.
Oh, yeah.
I have been into I'll bring up two examples, and then I'll ask you what do you think deja vu is. But I went to California, and I went to this super. So when you talk about people you're supposed to meet, I have this super long story, and I'll make it super quick. We're supposed to meet these people, and I went to California where they lived, and we went to this super, super prestigious high-end art college, and I went down, we snuck into it, and there's just like this hallway downstairs. It's Cal Arts for viewers at home, right? And I went into this little downstairs hallway, and there's graffiti all over the wall, and I saw this graffiti on the wall, and it said caterpillars are scary. I took a picture of it. I'll show you if you want, because it's fucking legit, because I just saw it, and I had the most intense deja vu I've ever had, and it was such a warm, good, fuzzy feeling. And right before I got on the plane to go to California, my mom asked me, she was like, we were talking about like Trump, straight up. We were talking about Trump, random nonsense that doesn't matter. And then she's like, what do you think deja vu is? Out of fucking nowhere. And then that happens. And then I had another experience where I went into my friend's house, and they're still my friend, 100%. But I will never sleep there, because I went into their new house that they were painting, and I was helping them paint, and I just had the most intense deja vu that was super negative. Like, I've died here before.
Oh, dang.
And so I was like, I'm never sleeping in this house. I haven't since. So what do you think deja vu is?
I wouldn't say that it's like past life regression, but I think maybe it would be like a very internalized like form of intuition. Maybe I'm just literally making this up because I've never thought about it before, so I'm just spitting off the top of my head. But like I've definitely had like when I have deja vu, I usually think I've dreamt this before, and like, dude, maybe dreams just like highly internalized like intuition that you're just like, this is gonna happen in the future, and I just like can feel it, but who knows, honestly. It's just one of those feelings like I always like in Christianity, they talk about like the Holy Ghost as being like a spiritual feeling,
or like your guardian angel.
Or your, like, guardian angel. Yeah. Like, I think it's just like one of those feelings that are just like there, and we're just like, I don't know,
What I think deja vu is one of my theories for what this is, right? I think a theory I have, this is not what I set in stone believe in, not my religion at all by any means, but something I've pondered with is maybe that we relive our lives. So so when you die, you will be born again as Kjetil, and you will live again and live again and live again until you get it right? Let's say you start smoking crack, or let's say you stop.
Too late now, man.
Too late.
Already
Shit.
started.
Bro,
I'm 3 steps ahead of you, man.
Or maybe you stop music. You give up. You give into the 9-to-5 job and the safe route to go in life. You give up, right? So then you'll live that life, and you'll die, and you'll be reborn again as Kjetil, and you'll be given another chance, and that will go on until to infinity, until you get it fucking right. You get it perfect, and then who knows? You reach nirvana or heaven or whatever. And so for me, that's what I believe in. At least that's not what I believe in. That's just a theory I have, because all the times I've experienced deja vu, it's been a point in my life of a crossroads or a serious choice to make, or just something that's not out of the ordinary. And to be fair, I have had out of ordinary deja vu before, but who am I? I like this quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's the universe has no obligation to make sense to you. So why am I a human, a fucking ape, to judge the universe and what it's trying to tell me with deja vu or intuition or karma or whatever? So that's what I have to say about that.
So you have to say about that? No, I would agree with that. But yeah, no, deja vu is crazy stuff.
What do you got any ghost stories or alien stories,
dude,
or just any strange encounters?
Actually, I've always really been into, like, before I was into music, I was super into like aliens and like Sasquatch and shit.
Of course.
But
Sasquatch Club.
I haven't after music, I was just like, it's pretty cool. Eventually, maybe. Like, do you know Blink 182?
Of course.
Do you know their bassist Tom DeLonge is a military contractor now and works for the like Air Force doing alien research?
Yo, that's crazy.
It's actually crazy. Yeah, no, he has what's it called? He has like some he owns some organization that like is their military contractors now. But also a lot of crazy stuff has been coming out recently. Like I think they're having like a Senate hearing about a bunch of information that has recently come out about UFOs.
Really?
But before I get into I'll get into my UFO story first. Okay. So I was really into UFOs, and then like I was always like, oh, I really want to see UFO and stuff, you know. But I just like kind of stopped being into UFOs and all that weird shit. But like this winter, I was walking around my neighborhood at night, because I walk around my neighborhood at night a lot because it gives me good inspiration, you know. And I was listening to like some ambient music, you know. And it was like a really clear night, you know. There was no clouds or anything, and the stars were out. And I see like a shape in the corner of my eye, like across the lake, because my neighborhood's like next to the lake. And I look up, and at first it just looks like I'm like, oh, that's crazy. It looked like 3 like what's the word? Comets, like in the shape of a triangle going the exact same speed. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I saw like it was blocking out stars in between like the inside of the triangle, but it was the exact same color of the night. It was crazy. It was like something transparent,
like in an eclipse.
Almost like it was like you can see like a little bit inside of it, and it was going super fast. And I was like, what the hell? And I watched it for like 5 minutes, and then it didn't like completely like blink out of existence. It just like melted. It was insane.
That's
but
pretty weird.
My theory on UFOs, I don't think like I think because like UFOs and the abduction phenomena are 2 different things. Like us being abducted by aliens or whatever. I kind of, you know, like the abduction phenomena, I'm like kind of, you know, like there's probably a lot of crazy people, or not crazy, like crazy people / like attention whores that make up shit about, you know, abductions. But I think there's some of it is like it's very credible people, like ex-military like officers and stuff that are saying. So it's like, who knows? And I think that it might not be aliens. I actually, this is the thing, I definitely don't think it's aliens in the sense of someone from another planet in this universe that's coming to Earth. I think it's like 4-dimensional beings, you know, like something on like a higher dimension, or maybe even like the government using like secret technology that no one knows exists. But basically that's what I think it is like there's stuff that happens that's just kind of like inconceivable, like in the realm of science. Like it doesn't make sense in science, but it's just because it's just a weird blip in our reality, or like a glitch in the matrix, if you will, if we're living in a simulation or whatever. But I'm just gonna keep going on, because there's also 2 crazy things. It didn't happen to me, it happened to a friend of, like 2 friends of mine. They don't know each other, okay? Like at all, like no correlation. Like one of them's like 20 years old and the other one's like 15. And there's this one guy that I lift with, and he lives out on what's that one? Lakeshore. He lives out in Lakeshore Drive. And he's like always telling me, he's like a very normal person, like who you would expect. He's just like really into lifting, you know? And he's always telling me about like how there's like skinwalkers around, and like Wendigos, and like how he's like all these crazy experiences he's had. And he's like, another one of my friends that he knows, that I also know, like they saw a Bigfoot out there together. And they like all this crazy stuff apparently happens at his property. And they have another friend who lives on Lakeshore Drive. And she was like, just like after he was telling me that, she just told me like this insane story about how she was walking around her property, and she had like this intense fear. And I'm not doing the story justice, because like I only heard it once, you know, and I didn't really prepare to make this whole statement, you know. So you might want to have her on this podcast. But basically she saw, like, she was like on this hill, and she saw this light, and she just stared at it for like 5 minutes, and it was just like there. And I think there's areas, like, I don't know, like church, but it's like kind of crazy that like 2 people that live very close in proximity that don't know each other had like similar crazy experiences in the same area, you know. But what was I gonna say?
After she staring at the light.
Oh yeah. Then she like she just like ran away, but she stared at it for like 5 minutes or something, like a giant, like bright blazing light that wasn't the sun. But I think like the other thing is there's places on like in our like realm, or like dimension where it's like the fabric is thinner, like it's a way easier. Like, because Tom DeLonge, he's doing research out in this, or he was, I don't know if he is anymore. Back when I followed this, he was out in this place called Skinwalker Ranch in Arizona, where they've done like a ton of research and a bunch of crazy shit has happened. And like, there's this other place in like Tennessee where like a bunch of crazy shit has happened. And this one like ex-military officer does like research there with his like a team of like people that are like scientists. But I don't know, it's sad that like a lot of this stuff is like very overlooked for how like a lot of like scientists like won't even look at this stuff because they're like scared of losing their jobs, or they just think it's crazy because they're conditioned to that.
Well, like totally like the same thing with like psychedelics, with now psychedelics are going through a renaissance.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think we're like, there's something about to happen. Like everyone looking at UFOs and like mushrooms almost being legalized and all that. We have
to be on the brink of a huge, especially with COVID happening and everyone being stuck inside their homes and being forced for self-reflection.
Yeah.
Looking at the world in reflection. We're on the brink of something big, totally, because a lot of weird shit's just happening. Yeah. I totally believe in magic and wizards. I believe that there's wizards. This is gonna sound super weird.
No, dude,
hang on. I've met one. I've totally.
Wait, is it the dude that works in the kitchen at Chimney Rock?
No.
Oh, then I've met another wizard, man. Okay, We've both met wizards.
Let me tell you mine. I just totally believe in wizards because like people that live out on the outskirts of society in the. But what's it called? What's the word I'm trying to think of? The boonies, out in the boonies, and they're fucking wizards. Because why would they want to give us their powers? Or not even like the magic how you're thinking of.
Yeah, like ritual magic, like shit that's been passed down forever. That's just basically like very
sorcery.
Intense intention,
intention, and maybe even like home brewed stuff with certain plants and that kind of magic, kind of logistic magic. Because I've totally met this guy, and he was. I was tripping on mushrooms, to be fair. So obviously the world's going to be a lot fucking weirder.
Who knows?
Right? But I don't think you should discredit that. You wouldn't discredit. You would.
Oh yeah, no. Like people have had like mass like 70 people like all tripping at like an ayahuasca trip have seen like UFOs at the same time. Like it's crazy. But yeah, keep going.
I don't know. Like you can discredit me if you want about me tripping on mushrooms. Why I talked to this guy, but just my intention, especially on a psychedelic substance, I just knew that this fucking guy was a wizard. Like I just looked at him and he had super bad intentions. Like he wanted to kidnap me and do whatever he wanted with me. And I just knew it. I just felt it in my, the stories. There's more to the story than that. Basically I went to this hippie festival and I took mushrooms and this guy like was following our group. He was camping with us and we had no idea who he was. And I heard when I come to that theory is because of this mushroom trip, I heard in my head over and over again, life is a cycle, life is a cycle, life is a cycle. And I'm drawing and my pencil is dying. So I grab a new pencil. It's birthed again. So I keep drawing and I hear over my head, life is a cycle.
How many mushrooms were you on?
A lot.
Like how much is a lot?
I took a gram.
Oh.
Not a gram, but like an eighth. But they were super potent.
Were they like Penis Envy or?
I don't know that brand. It was a guy in a cat in the hat gave them to me. So know they're fucking potent.
They're fucking potent.
You know it, right? And they were. I looked at them. Yeah. They were blue and whatever, and they were super. I don't know. And then he just came up to me, and I'm not going to go in super detail just because I'll save that for a later podcast.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. But he just gave me such, like, I just felt his desires inside of me. I felt the bad energy coming off of him. And he's a wizard.
He's a wizard.
That's all I can say about that.
That's all you can say.
What about you? What is your wizard story?
I don't. Oh, there's just this one guy that worked at Chimney Rock. And the first time I met him, he was like, what did he say? He's like, yeah, man, I'm an emo rapper. He's like, also, I cursed myself 3 years using the Kabbalah, and I was homeless in Portland because of that. And then he was like, also, my dad's part of like a funk ska metal band that toured with Primus He's super
I gotta
dude.
get him on the
Dude,
podcast.
he's cool. Calvin, bro. I'll fucking introduce you to Calvin.
Is he short?
He's kind of short. Maybe.
Brown?
Maybe.
That's kind of racist. But
Is it? Oh, a brown person? No, he's not a brown
okay.
person. Calvin, yeah, he works at Chimney. There's some weird people that work at Chimney Rock.
Yeah, dude.
Because do you know the guy who like runs Chimney Rock?
Yeah,
Boogie Woogie Walter, bro.
Wasn't he? Oh, not Walter, but there's one guy that works there. He's like he used to be in the mafia or something.
Oh, probably. Yeah, no, there's like a lot of because like, dude. So the guy that runs it, this is like my theory. Boogie Woogie Walter. He just looks at like people and he's like, yeah, that guy's fucking crazy. That guy's fucking crazy. That guy's fucking crazy. You're all working here. Like all the people that I've worked there with were so like in the kitchen at least were so, but they're also like so cool. I love them. Yeah.
Well, like totally. When I went over there, they're pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
Dude.
No, they are. Yeah. But what do you think about mushrooms? Like, what are they? Like I don't know. What do you use mushrooms for?
I haven't used them in a while.
Yeah.
Because like with the weird guy at the hippie fair, I totally thought, and I'm so glad this happened, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to stand on the soapbox. Plenty of people are doing it in today's society, but it totally made, like, it was a bad trip, but it made me realize so much about myself, like how I'm just naturally a paranoid person, and I cannot necessarily do a whole lot about that. I can either live in fear or live with fear, right? And whatever. So I haven't done them in a while. I did them one other time after that, and I didn't have any really thing to bring back home. But I think mushrooms are, and acid and DMT and all the psychedelics are gateways, are whether they're gateways to the next realm, not the next realm, but
like
the
a higher dimension,
to our left or right, or they're the mushrooms plants talking to us, because when you take mushrooms, I'm sure you've done them plenty of times or whatever, when you take them, it's like someone's talking to you. It's not you're talking to yourself. It's your voice, but someone's talking to you. You come up with stuff you never would have even thought about. Yeah. So that's I think something's going on. Yeah. Something's going on with them that we need to do research. We need to figure out what the fuck's going on with them.
How did you I'm sorry to ask you more questions.
No, please do.
Like, how did you find mushrooms? Because it's always like interesting to me.
So with that example, that wasn't the first time I've done them. I've done them 5 times. That time, like, the guy just walked into our camp, and I wanted to trip. My 2 friends, they just dropped acid. They were laughing. They were having a good time. Yeah. And so I was like, dude, I want to be fucking tripping.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I'm at the hippie fair.
Yeah.
Horrible mistake. Anyone out there that's thinking about doing mushrooms, I'm sure, and everyone said this, but it's true. Don't do them in a place you're uncomfortable with, people you're uncomfortable with, and don't cross them with other drugs.
Yeah.
I did all 3 of those, and like I said, it was a beneficial experience, but holy fuck, dude, I genuinely believed I was going to die. This guy was going to kidnap me as soon as everyone fell asleep. He's going to kidnap me, take me back to his fucking lair, and do whatever he wanted with me. That's genuinely what I thought, and so I was terrified. I totally thought I was going to die. Like, I only had 12 hours to live or something, so I had a episode. But to answer your question, the first time I did them, I know I wanted to do them because I was a little stoner kid smoking pot and doing nothing. Me and my friend wanted to do them, and so we kind of just asked around, like, hey, do you know mushrooms? Anyone can get us some? Right? And we eventually, I couldn't tell you, like, it was no, like, hey, man, no.
Yeah.
No one came up to me and was like, hey, man, you want to do mushrooms? I was like, yeah, man. We kind of just, I will say the weird thing about the first time we did mushrooms, though, is after we got them from a guy in Spokane, and we brought him back here, and we were going to do them the next day. That next day, we didn't have anywhere to do them at, so we had 3/8 because we were going to eat 1/8 and then half of an eighth because we were stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But luckily, we gave the other eighth to some guy that said that I've never even hung out with. Right. I barely knew him. I knew of him. and I like went to. I guess I was at a party with him one time, and he smoked all my weed because he was using me for my weed.
Damn.
But we just went to his house, and I never even talked to him before, or like not talked to him. I never hung out with him before, and I had a great ass time.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
What about you? Why are you interested in how they came?
Well, because like for me, I've never, I still have never, I've never been into like marijuana.
Okay.
Or alcohol, just because like I've tried both, just because you should try everything, and like for me it was just like it made me feel numb, and I feel like there's two kinds of reactions people have. It's either they feel more or they feel less, and I really don't want to feel less because I just feel like it would make me worse of an artist. But
that is exactly how I feel too.
Yeah. So dude, yeah, if it made me feel more, I'd be like an alcoholic now. But I don't even know how I found them, but I've only ever done mushrooms like purely for like a therapeutic. Not really. I don't even know if just like, yeah, like I guess like a therapeutic point of view. Like I just did it for like the benefits because I was like reading about it and I was like, oh, this is interesting, and it did like change my life in an insane amount of like in an insane way. And I've only done them like, let me think. Yeah, like 4 times. And yeah, last time, I don't know, I kind of, though I did get stuck in like the mindset. I was like, man, like if I like once I started, because like after you do mushrooms, you kind of like have like you feel like really good for a while, and you're just like in the present moment.
It's a warm welcoming.
Yeah. And I was like that, and then like I started, not being like that because I just like didn't really, think about being in the present moment, or like, even though like, that's kind of
wolves. It's back to the wolves. Once you start feeding that negative wolf, especially on mushrooms, you're gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So like, well, no, this was like a month after I took them.
Oh.
Yeah. Like it kind of like his perspective changing is crazy, and then like I kind of felt like locked up, and I was like, oh man, I have to do more mushrooms, and then like eventually I did, and then like last time I did it, I did like, I did 2/8. And it was like crazy, and it wasn't like that good of a time, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It like because honestly, I've never really had like, I've had like a good time on mushrooms, but I've never had like a really like, for me it was never I had a huge like awakening on mushrooms. It was later, I would get a new perspective of everything, and then like after that I just didn't have any, and I kind of like went downhill, and then I just like honestly I just kind of like learned how to live, And now I just don't really like, I mean, I guess if I was offered like mushrooms, I would maybe do them if it was like the right place at the right time, but it like probably wouldn't be because I don't like doing them with like other people. Like at least like I like one other person that I trust a lot.
That's, did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay. That's you're totally right. Oh God, what was I going to say? You're totally right. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. It's you're so like everything about music, and I'm over here like so cliche, right?
Yeah.
But like Terrence McKennick, right? He says, once you get the message,
hang up the phone.
And
wait,
so
Terrence
true.
McKenna said that? I thought Alan Watts said that.
Maybe it was. I thought. I'm pretty
all
sure
the same person, bro. Ram Dass, Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, all the same.
The I'm a Philosopher starter pack.
I'm
right?
a Philosopher starter
Grandma
pack.
Mushrooms,
Yeah.
Alan Watts, Terrence McKennick.
Yeah.
What else? Maybe like some coffee or something.
I don't know. Who knows?
But it's true though. It's really true.
Yeah, no, it is.
After because I had the same experience, right? I went to the hippie fair.
Yeah.
Had that. For me, I guess it was an earth-shattering realization. Because I don't know if you have had this moment, but I had that moment of, guys, we're gonna be okay. Like, everything's fucking like. We're gonna die and it's gonna be fucking great.
Be fine.
I
Who
can't
cares?
wait.
Yeah.
Just like that overwhelming bliss. I had that for sure. And then I had the kind of like sit down and shut the fuck up moment, as they say, and listen, this is what you need to know now. And then the outside, like non-present momentness came in of the hippie guy. Granted, I can't change anything about that. He's gonna fuck with me. Then he affected my whole mushroom trip. But after that, I tried to do them again, and I just didn't. I ate them, and then I instantly had to have been 5 minutes after I ate them, threw them up.
Yeah, I think also that's like a thing. Like for me, after I did a large dose, and and I was like around people that like had mushrooms, even if I like smelled them, I would like want to throw up.
Well, I made myself throw up.
Oh, you did?
I just didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to trip. I just
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to. I was like, I want to go back to that bliss. I want to go back to the realization of the universe. But after I ate them, my just intention, right, intuition was just like, no, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I just stuck my fingers down my throat. I threw them up, and I think the reason why that is because you have to realize these stuff these kind of stuff on your own.
Yeah.
Alcohol, weed, mushroom, DMT, whatever you want, whatever substance you choose, or people, right?
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Love.
Relying on someone else, music, art, whatever. That's not going to be the answer you need. The only way you're going to figure out how to be happy, how to be bliss, how to know the answers of happiness is on your own.
Yeah.
Sitting down, thinking, maybe art. Maybe I should go back and take out art because I think expressing yourself with art is a really good way of contemplation. Yeah. But I just think you cannot rely on substances, especially love. Yeah. Loving other people, or throwing yourself into somebody else, you'll never find your true self in another. What did I say to my mother the other day? It was our generation is full of people trying to find themselves within other people.
Yeah. No, and I think that's like insanely true. But yeah, I've discovered, like, speaking of art and like finding yourself, I've probably learned more about myself like with writing music than I have doing anything or reading anything, kind of. It's in like a weird way, because like it's weird because everything, like I think we're all just like fragments of whatever else is going around us, and like, but whenever I write music, I completely just like rely on like the subconscious mind, and I just don't force anything. And so I just write a bunch of like random lyrics down. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And I forget about it. And then like when I think about it, like I had this big realization this winter, because I have like a bunch of songs and I organize them in a very particular way in my mind when I think about it. And like when I like looked at it, I realized all these like reoccurring like lyrics about like random shit, like objects, were actually like extended metaphors about my own life, and like whatever, like the order of songs I had, that was all just like one cycle, in my life. And I was like, man, this is crazy, because I just like, and it just made me realize so many things. But I think you can definitely like, it's just a good way to like look at who you are. Like you look at that and you're like, that's me right there. And especially when you like analyze it, you're like, why did I do that? Then like, because there's a reason for literally, like, I think the best way to make art is to do like it subconsciously, but also remember that there's a reason for literally everything you're doing,
That's true. I like that. That's really true.
Yeah.
My friend told me that don't try to feel depressed on where you are right now in life, especially because of COVID.
Yeah.
But where you are right now in life, because this is where your soul's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The universe is, or whatever you want to call it, this is where you're supposed to be right now. And I think that's something I've definitely been dealing with a lot lately, and I've been realizing is this is not necessarily where I'd like to be, but this is where I have to be, or I should be right now, to realize what I want to be. Yeah. Who's the best Jacob?
Yeah, I think like quarantine and all of COVID has been like a great opportunity for like self-reflection in my life, at least,
Totally. I hope that people take that and they kind of stop feeding into what's not real and start feeding into what's real, instead of, what do you think? I guess I'll cut myself off because I want to know this, because it's kind of related. How do you feel about social media?
I knew you were going to say that.
Technology.
I knew exactly where you were going. I was literally going to go to this anyways. Dude, honestly, man, like I think...
Have you seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, cool.
But...
Finally something that we both have seen or heard, right?
I heard, yeah. No, so I think the internet was really cool because you have like all this like access to so many like different points of knowledge. But like with that, it was a double-edged sword, you know, because it can be used for like so much just like time wasting and just like feeding your insecurities. And I haven't had any form of social media for like almost 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like 100% out of it. I never think about it at all. And the reason I stopped is like if you have like literally like something that shows exactly how everybody sees you and you can think about that, you know, or like at least an embodiment, you know, it's like it just like feeds your ego so much and you're just like not here, you know, you aren't doing real stuff. You're just worrying about in a box. Yeah, it's putting yourself in a box too. And I think that's like a huge problem with society today is like labels in general, you know. But and wait, what was I gonna say though? Social media. Oh. Yeah, it's also like so hard to get off of because like not only is it addictive, it's such like a massive part of like the social ecosystem of teenagers.
It really is.
Like I don't have Snapchat or Instagram, so if I wanted to like hang out with anybody, I would have to find them or find someone who has their phone number to contact them, which is like kind of crazy, you know? Like compared to like everybody else, because they can literally just be like, follow this person, then like message them or whatever, you know? So it's like, it's just like a hugely, like I always felt, especially since I've never had Snapchat. I had like Instagram for a while, but I've never had Snapchat before. And like, that's like, I think really like the way people, I actually don't know because I don't do social media, but like, I feel like that's like the way people like actually kind of do like the whole like actually connecting, but not even like in a way like like totally texting, right. You know?
Yeah.
And so I had like, since everybody's doing that, I'm just like, I don't really know, you know, like what I'm doing. I don't have social media. Like it was super hard for me to like actually reach out to people, you know?
Well, no, you're totally right. And this is like the example I like to bring up when I talk about this with people is, dude, like I know everything about you, Bill, right? Let's make up Bill, right? Yeah. Bill, you just posted you and your girlfriend are pregnant, or you have a new cat or whatever. So when I see you at Walmart or whatever, the park, we have nothing to talk about. Because I already fucking know everything about you. You post it on social media.
Yeah.
I go on my Snapchat because I'm a victim. I'm a victim of the social media. I like whatever. I use it. And I know everything that everyone else is doing. Yeah. You know, I know everything that Bill's doing with his new cat and his girlfriend. They just got a new house. And so, you know, it takes away that specialty of, oh my God, what up, Bill? I haven't seen you in so long. What's new? Yeah. It's more like, oh, hey, Bill. What was your cat's name again? Francis. That's right.
Francis, yeah.
How long ago? Actually, I know how long your girlfriend is in pregnancy. She's 3 months. You just posted yesterday. That's right.
Yeah.
And so as we grow up in a world of artificial food, artificial everything, even our social interactions are artificial now.
Yeah.
It's a social status. It's keeping namesake, right? It's keeping like, hey, just so you know, I'm still an artist, right? Yeah. I still paint because I have to post every day that I'm doing something that involves painting, right? Just so you know that I'm not a loser. You know, I'm not doing nothing, because that's what our society is but is embedded to think from what we've grown up with.
Yeah.
Is to always be in competition with one another. And social media is such a perfect platform to have the competition play out on.
Yeah, it's like a really weird thing. I don't think like humans like psychologically were ever supposed to have like access to all that. And especially like people being raised on that stuff, like how are like what will they turn out to be at like as adults, you know?
Right? And like I was listening to this recently. People like to neglect the fact of that, of what are your kids going to be from what they grow up with, right? Like with you and me, like you more to an extent of, you know, not really having a whole lot of friends growing up, being alone, and who it's made you today. That is such a key part of who you were or who you are. I mean, that experience alone, in a kid that grows up in communist China where they're fed North Korea, I should say, instead, fed every day, this guy is our fucking messiah. They're gonna grow up, that's all they're gonna know, that's all they're gonna think, all they're gonna, and like, so what I'm getting at is with social media and Call of Duty, these violent video games, giving your 7-year-old Call of Duty, GTA, social media where they can watch or do anything and compare themselves to others. Our generation, or the next generation, is gonna be really interesting to see how they deal with it and who they are.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. No, and I think like also there's a ton of like political implications with the existence of social media and just like media in general, especially like how much it's turned into more entertainment than actual like news, which I think is probably not good.
It's horrible. Horrible.
But yeah.
Well, like when it comes to that, what I bring up when I talk to people is I was talking to my grandma, so I can vouch for this. This is real, right? My grandma even like agreed with me when I say this. We used to, or back in the day, not me, they used to, look up to the president. Like, holy fuck, the president's coming on tonight at 7:00.
Yeah.
Bill, the president's coming on at 7:00. Like, you got to come to my dinner party, right?
Yeah.
So we can all sit around at the TV and see what the president has to say. Now it's dude, I fucking hate the president, right?
It's like, bro, this is what CNN said about the president. Or this is what Fox News said about the president.
Right.
Like, I don't know how many people get like they like watch like an entire like speech, because it can be so it can be so like cut up and fragmented to either make someone look like really good or like horrible.
That's another thing too that is totally related is that we are not we are not going to go the extra mile to receive the information that we tell other people. Like I'm like character right here. I'm a Trump supporter. Okay, why do you like Trump? Because he's cool.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, what made him cool? Well, I saw on CNN that he said this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you didn't sit down and watch the whole speech.
Yeah.
Maybe he says another reason why I make you sign that paper is because I don't want you to think I'm gonna make you somebody you're not.
Yeah.
Right. Like, let's say you love cats. Right. I'll cut out the love part and you hate cats, right? Or something like something stupid like that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with social media in today's world.
No.
Everything is not what it seems to be.
Yeah, it's like it's gotten to the point where objective reality is so hard to find, and I have no clue what is right or wrong.
Yes.
And it's definitely crazy. And then like I feel like it's a lot easier for people to just like get impressions of something like from social media posts and then just be like, oh, don't like this, I don't like this, and it's crazy. Like, do you know who Jordan Peterson is? Kind of.
It sounds familiar.
Dude, yeah, so Jordan Peterson was like this Canadian philosopher guy, I guess. He was like a professor of philosophy, or like I think he has his degree technically in like social analysis. And I have a lot of like left-leaning friends that are very political, and I love them. I don't really, I don't harbor anything against them, but they all think they're like, Jordan Peterson's a neo-Nazi, bro. Jordan Peterson's a neo-Nazi, and he's literally like, he's never said anything that would like make it seem like he was a neo-Nazi. It's just there was like one interview by like BuzzFeed in like the early 2010s that just made him look that way, and I've like I don't even think he's that conservative. Like the whole thing that he talks about, I have like one teacher that's really into him, I'm not that into him, is like going against like identity politics basically. And so he just kind of like, I don't know how anybody got to like neo-Nazi, because then also like if you look at like far right people, and then like not even like that far right people that are really into like politics, they think that he's like a liberal shill, so it's crazy how people can be perceived.
It's like a giant game of telephone.
Yeah, it definitely is. And also like people, like there's so many people, like most people, are not aware that their like whole narrative, like whole political narrative, could 100% be wrong. Like they could literally like be the most wrong people
Nazis.
ever. Yeah, Nazis. Like this is actually a really interesting conversation, because back when I was like a sophomore, I had no friends. I had one friend, and he was my best friend, and he was a neo-Nazi. And I was really not aware of this, because I was just like he would just like go off about like how like the Jews are like controlling the media, and I'd be like, yeah, that's a pretty quirky take, I guess. Like, I don't know. And I thought like half of the stuff he was saying was like ironic. And this is the other thing, is he was probably also the smartest person I've ever met, or one of them. And I've kind of like because I've known two like hardcore neo-Nazis, and both of them, one of them I worked with, one of them was that dude. Both of them insanely smart, but it's just like they were raised in a way where they got like the wrong end of the stick, and they just wanted to blame somebody, for, this world being the way that it is, that they can't thrive. So they blame like the Jews or something, and then also they're both like, both of them were like pretty arrogant, pretty full of themselves. So they're not really willing to accept any other narrative besides that. And so many people that are like smart, it doesn't matter like how smart you are. You can literally believe anything, if you're like, cause like, I think like your ego can definitely overpower all the knowledge you have,
That's so true.
Yeah. But also this is another thing, is like, with my friend that I was like best friends with him, that he was like a neo-Nazi, is like probably if I didn't stay friends with him, and I didn't like, eventually I was like, man, this whole neo-Nazi thing kind of crazy, like you probably like do you actually like, are you actually, and I like challenge his belief. But I did love him. Like he was one of my best friends, and I think that's the thing, is there's like this whole thing about like, oh, you have to punch a Nazi, or you have to hate the other people that are on the other side. Like, how will we ever reach like a decision about everything if we're just fighting each other constantly,
That's so
and if we're always demonizing, because I don't think there's any group of people, except maybe like the super, super rich or something, that are like, yeah, I'm fucking the world up right now. Everyone thinks they're doing what's best for them and their kids, like no matter what it is. So we just have to kind of come together and decide what is like actually right and what's wrong. And even everyone just has to like open their minds and stuff. But I think it's not really like, yeah, it's not any person that's the problem. It's just like the systems that we currently have in place,
Yeah, it's I was listening to this audiobook by Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. Check it out.
Nice.
Good ass book. Really good book, actually. A lot of good philosophies in there. But one of the things that is said in that book is, it's not, he's like in Africa, and he's talking to some African people, way out in the fucking Congo. Yeah. People that don't even know what an Instagram is, let alone a working toilet. Yeah. And they're having this conversation, and they're arguing. And they're arguing about like, should a Muslim girl wear clothes, right? These two African guys. And Matthew McConaughey comes up and he's like, I agree with the person on the left because of this reason. And then that person says to him, it is not about if you agree, it's about if you understand. And I think that is so true. Yeah. And I think that is what a lot of people lack, is not whether we agree with each other, but whether or not we understand where you're coming from and where I'm coming from. Yeah. I think that would not solve, but put a dent in a lot of the world's problems.
Yeah, yeah, because I think a lot of them are kind of like a lot of problems are created because people just don't understand the way other people think or what other people think.
This is pretty related, and it's also related to the social media talk. Yeah. And creativity, because with our iPhone, it is, it listens to us, I guess you can say, but it has a profile for us. I like art stuff, so I'm going to get art stuff targeted towards me. Yeah. Whatever I do, YouTube, Instagram ads, Google, especially when I Google something, it's going to be geared to what I want.
Yeah.
And so my point of view, what I believe in, not what
it's
you
just
believe
fed
in.
back to you.
Exactly. It's kind of like stroking your own ego.
Yeah.
You know, I am just getting that validation of, you know what, Trump, I hate Trump, right? I don't have an opinion on any of this. But let's say I hated Trump. That's what I'm just going to receive every single day. Not, hey, look at this. Maybe Trump is actually not a bad guy because he saved this puppy.
Yeah.
I'll never see that.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah.
And I think that goes back to creativity and a downfall about social media and technology is I can't go to the live. Well, I can, but like it's different from me going to the library and trying to find an art book, and I end up in the cooking section and I start to learn cooking versus today where I Google art stuff and art stuff that's geared towards what I like is going to pop up, not the overall art stuff.
Exactly. Dude, I honestly have never thought about this before until you brought it up, but that's like a good point because that's probably like I think really the way to expand artistically is just to take inspiration from things you usually wouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of my biggest musical, like when I would talk about like my inspirations in music, I would split it into like musical inspirations and non-musical inspirations because I think they're equally important. And one of my biggest non-musical inspirations is Tai Chi, man. Tai Chi. I used to go, I would go hard on Tai Chi, but I just haven't found like a good instructor because like I think it was it right before quarantine started? I like just randomly like walked into a group of people doing Tai Chi and I was like, this looks cool. I started doing Tai Chi, and that brought me to like, you know, like Taoism and all these different things that I usually wouldn't be like interested in. But if I was just on my phone all the time reading about music stuff, I'm just going to get more and more music stuff, you know?
Right? You'd never be able to discover Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting you bring that up because I just think that is another subject on its own is getting off your phone.
Yeah.
Going out and just living in the present moment and seeing what happens. Because like on Saturday, you know, I didn't know it was fucking you playing at the festival. I had no idea it was you. I just wanted to interview this guy that had psychic powers. So I was waiting around to get to like give him my information. Hopefully he'd come on. And I saw you and I was like, oh shit, I know him. I like him. And so then I stayed and watched your whole show. I could have left, right? I could have just been like, oh, it's Kjetil. Well, maybe I'll just give him my phone number and he'll come on because I know you would have, right? But I decided to stay around and just live in the present moment and listen to your music. And then that led to us having a nice fucking beautiful lunch. Like I had so much fun just talking to you and your parents. Like
that was a good time.
That was a great time because we just put away the phones.
Yeah.
Didn't worry about the present or not the present, the past and the future. We just solely lived in the present and just whatever happened and we had a great lunch.
That's a fun time.
Right?
Yeah. Dude, that was kind of crazy for me because honestly, I haven't hung out with my mom in like the context of other people for so long, especially like not like her friends. And I just like had this realization when I was hanging out with my mom and you guys, it's like, dang, my mom's a pretty charismatic person. I never knew this, but it's funny because that always kind of makes sense. But like, I don't know how your relationship with your mom is, but I'm always kind of like, my mom's so overbearing and stuff. And like, once you kind of give into that, your mom's like hilarious. Like, cause that day my mom came because I was going to prom and I had like prom pictures and my mom came and just hung out with like me and all my friends. And it was so funny. I thought it was hilarious. It was such a good time. But I love my mom. But anyways, that's all I have to say about that.
Moms are great.
Moms are great. Shout out to all the moms.
Shout out to all the moms. For sure. Well, I'm trying to think of, I'm not saying.
Did we ever talk about death?
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
Let's talk about death.
Cool.
Best subject.
So
what, like I said, like I don't have anything set yet.
Yeah.
I don't have a set in stone religion, but I like to ponder around with the ideas. So what are some ideas you ponder around with?
Like, I think ideas that I ponder around with, you know, just pontificate upon. I would say that I really like the Hindu idea of like Brahman and like that basically. Do you know the Hindu idea?
I don't.
Brahman?
Please enlighten me.
Okay, so basically, why I like it is because like when you listen to like when you like, you know, learn about it, it basically just sounds, like the simulation theory, like we're all living in a simulation. It basically kind of sounds like that. Because basically it's just this guy, and his name's the Brahmin, and he's just floating out in like the nothing, and he's just having this dream. And we're like all just parts of his dream, And that's kind of the Hindu concept if you like get away from like the caste system and all that. And I really like that concept because that means like A, we're all like connected, and B, that could have like some actually like technological implications. Like that could have just been like the Hindus, they somehow, saw through the Matrix, man, and they're like, oh, we're just all the same thing. We're just all a computer program, but they didn't know how to explain a computer program, so they just said a dream, But then I also really like the idea of reincarnation, but specifically this one thing I'm very interested in reincarnation, which is like souls, like not everyone just reincarnates randomly. I think there's like a collection of souls that like meet again and again and again and have different relationships and like
I
different.
love that.
Yeah, no, because also like I think the reason I like came up, I like found this particular concept was it was just like this book I was reading about this guy who like claimed to have like all these visions about like what happens after reincarnation. But I think that kind of makes sense because I feel like there's a lot of people that I'm just like, how did I meet you? Like people like you that are like very like me, even though we kind of have, they're like niche tastes, but not like super niche, but it's just kind of like, dang, we just became friends in a weird way.
Totally.
And I'll like see people and I'll just be like, me and that person karmically like related. Even like people like you'll know just for like a little bit and you'll like give them a sandwich or something.
Yeah, it's totally
that's like
the
all
difference.
Karmically. Yeah, it's just we're all just all karmically entwined.
Yeah, it's like the difference between having a good relation or a good experience with a McDonald's employee versus a bad experience with a McDonald's employee. We've met before in the past life, right? Like that's not how it is, but our souls say that to each other, and then our ego takes over and doesn't say that. Yeah, but that's why we have a good reaction. I like that idea of like a group of souls just like kind of like playing a video game, right? Like, all right, we all died. That was great, guys.
That's
like,
great. Yeah,
it's kind of like a play, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. So this time we're going to be in the medieval times.
Yeah.
Kjetil, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just don't know. I didn't want to say it wrong.
I have no clue how to say my own name.
Dope. All right, we're gonna be in the medieval time. Kjetil, you're gonna be the king, and this time I'm gonna be the peasant. Yeah. And then we're gonna die, and then we're all right, Kjetil. So next time we're gonna be in the future, right? Yeah. We're gonna be in year 7042. The sun just blew up. We're gonna be flying to space, and you're gonna be pregnant, but you're a guy. Yeah. Right? Like just kind of like I like that idea. Yeah. I heard this guy have a philosophy or an idea, right? A ponderant, whatever you just said, of maybe him, right? So maybe Kjetil, maybe right now you're the main focus of the universe, right? I don't matter. Yeah. She doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. No one else matters but you. And so everything is going to revolve around you. Yeah. Whether or not I get into a car crash tomorrow is because the universe has to be in this set way for you to live your best life. Yeah. For me to not, right? Obviously I'm going to get in a car crash tomorrow because it's your time to shine. And then you're going to die. Yeah. You're going to go to Nirvana or whatever. And then it's going to be my turn. Yeah. We're going to start over again, take it from the top, and I'm going to focus. And then you're going to get lead poisoning because you sat in that bench instead of me sitting in that bench, right? Yeah. That kind of philosophy I thought was pretty interesting that he shared with me. I don't believe in that. Yeah. Or maybe I do.
But it's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting to think about.
It's all interesting stuff. Yeah.
The whole point of philosophy is just to like
things to think about.
Throw out the dartboard. Yeah. What other ponderance do you have about death?
Not death specifically, but life. I think kind of, and this is the kind
stuff in between. Right?
Yeah, the stuff in between. I've been saying this as a joke, but slowly it's become more and more real that everybody is just living in like an indie movie, And it's just like there's different types of indie movies. You know, there's like coming of age indie movies, and there's like lesbian indie movies, and there's like all these types of indie movies, right? And we're just living out the plot of each of these indie movies. You know,
I think that's really true because,
dude, it's like in a weird way. Like it's not actually true, but it's like true in a weird way.
No, it totally is because like that's kind of like the point of my podcast that I want to create is because you're gonna have a different experience throughout life than I will, right? Like for me, I may have dyslexia, right? You don't. You will never, do you?
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, you won't, right?
Yeah.
In this example. And so you'll never know what it's like to be dyslexic.
Yeah.
But I'll never know what it's like to be a blonde-haired kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe in your world, in this example, everyone hates blonde-haired kids. So that's what you'd come up with. Yeah. And so basically, that's why I've created this. Why I'm starting this is because I want to create, books and episodes that we can look at and see where this person went wrong, because that's the indie movie they were put in. Indie movie they were put in. Their indie movie was, the kid that got bullied that became the millionaire.
Yeah.
Or I'm the kid that stopped doing drugs and then he became the ruler of Narnia.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really true because when you look at people's lives, and specifically, I feel like, at least for me, there's a main theme. Like, do you listen to audiobooks or biographies?
Kind of.
I love audiobooks, especially like old rocker audiobooks. I know you hate Red Hot Chili Peppers. Fuck.
Bro, I appreciate them as music, but it's just not my thing.
But like Anthony Kiedis, I listened to his audiobook, and he is addicted to heroin.
Yeah,
because
I think they all were probably.
Yeah, everyone's addicted to heroin.
Everyone in the '90s, bro,
right?
Especially.
But I'm gonna butcher his life story for sure. But it's dealing with heroin and getting over the loneliness he felt from his dad forcing him to do what he does with his life. That's his theme, but he'll never experience what it's like to be the Bill Gates' son, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, think about being Bill Gates' son.
You'd be set.
You'd be set, but you'll always be Bill Gates' son.
Yeah, no.
You'll never be Tommy Gates.
Yeah.
Always Bill Gates' son. That's what his life story theme was.
I know. Yeah. It's crazy.
So I like that idea.
Yeah, I would say everything is just like cycles, like thematic cycles, and then there's like one big one, I feel like, and that's the cool thing about changing, is you can just like change that theme,
Yeah, totally.
Not even like just choosing to change, just changing in general,
Totally, like exactly, like if you're like, for me, I'm a person that is very, like I said earlier, paranoid as fuck. I have a lot of fears, but I'm going through this change of not letting those fears overcome me, because I want to go out into the world. I want to go to Europe. I want to take my podcast on the road and interview people from town to town. And I want to do all of these things, but I have to change. That's my story, right? I have to change my story and become whatever, you know, and then you have your story. So I guess since it's kind of related, how do you deal with fears and anxieties?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. I think like my first big like fear when I was younger was talking to people. And so basically one day going down the bus to Schweitzer, I was like, you know what? I just want to be the person that can just talk to people, know? And so I just talked to people on the bus going down from Schweitzer. And I think now, like, oh man, I think one big like weird anxiety that I have is I have like this anxiety that society will change to basically, it's really hard for me to explain.
I feel like I know where you might be going with this.
Yeah, like the society will change to a point where I will have to like conform to like a level that doesn't seem like myself, or else be like more ostracized and like left out of a lot of things.
I get that.
You know?
It's kind of like it's like if Elvis were to be born today. Like let's say another Elvis was born today. He wouldn't be the king of rock.
Yeah.
Or anything, because rock's not the main focus anymore. It's hip hop, it's rap.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of like I have like a fear of labels. And I think like a big thing with like anxieties is literally just to understand them. Like, why do I have this anxiety, you know? And once you like really understand like what the actual cause of it is, then you can be like, oh, that's kind of stupid. And then get over it. And I think that's like every anxiety I've had. Like I've had like a really big anxiety about not going to college because I was always afraid that if I don't go to college, people will think I'm like stupid and then they won't want to be my friend, you know, and all this stuff. And like really I kind of realized that as long as I'm like reading books and I'm like learning new things, I would never like really actually be stupid, and I shouldn't really care about like what other people think of me. You know, it's just like one of those things I want to fit in like to a group, you know, because people that like go to college, they're seen as like responsible, you know,
right?
And then like people that don't, they're kind of like edgy and like smoke cigarettes and work in kitchens and shit, you know. Funny. And have tattoos, and that's just always how I've seen people that don't go to college. So I was like, man, if I don't go to college, I'm going to become like that. But it's like such an easy choice to be like, oh no, I'm not going to become like that. I'm just going to be myself, and I'm just going to keep doing that, you know? And I think that's like wanting to conform to like a certain thing is all just like out of fear, you know, of being like ostracized or becoming like a failure or something, you know?
I totally agree with you. I have the same type of mindset, you know? You know, I'm 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I flip hamburgers, and I still live with my mom, right?
Yeah.
That's what people see.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're going to put onto me. But in reality, what matters to me, what should matter to me, right? What I should only think about is, well, you're spending this time, instead of wasting it, you know, at least for me, I like to learn stuff every day, right?
Yeah.
I listen to philosophers, watch movies, whatever I'm doing, I'm always trying to learn something. Mm-hmm. Always trying to improve my art skills, right?
Yeah.
Trying to become a better artist. I'm always trying to improve myself, but no one ever stops and asks questions. They just look and assume.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, definitely.
That as humans, we're so social. We're social creatures. We're so as you know, as much as I don't want to admit it, mm-hmm. and we are born to need validation from others.
Yeah.
We are totally embedded to want validation from others. And it's hard to see the bigger picture, and when you're going, mm-hmm. when you're still on the ground floor, still working out the kinks and making up a plan, you know?
Yeah.
I heard a quote the other day that's pretty good. It's like, stop giving a fuck about what people you don't give a fuck about think of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely true.
What's your favorite food?
Couldn't tell you. Oranges. I eat
oranges.
I eat like 8 oranges a day.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, like
really?
like if I could, my mom gets angry at me if I eat that many oranges, but like if I could, I would eat 8 oranges a day.
I don't really like oranges.
You really like oranges?
I don't really.
like oranges?
I love orange juice.
Really?
But I'm not a huge fan of oranges.
Exact opposite. I hate orange juice.
That's
love
so
oranges.
Funny.
Dude, I eat so many oranges, man. I'm just always eating oranges. That's why I like never get sick, is because we got so much vitamin C.
That's true.
Just circulating in my body constantly. Yeah, I eat a lot of oranges.
Why oranges?
Dude, I just think oranges are aesthetically pleasing. Dude, I think food should be aesthetically pleasing.
It should.
You know?
Well, that's something I learned from working at Schweitzer.
Yeah.
Is appearance is half of it.
Yeah.
It totally is.
No, it definitely is.
Like if I'm serving you slop on a broken tray with a piss stain on it.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to eat it.
Yeah, dude.
It may be the best thing you've ever eaten.
Yeah, but you're not going to want to. And you're definitely going to have like a certain, you know, viewpoint of it, you know? Even if you do eat it, you're like, garbage food.
Garbage food. Totally.
Dude, that's the thing about, I've always had like a struggle with art. Actually, I think I've already said this, but trying to maintain a certain composure that like basically try to express in the way act like how I want like music to make people feel, you know? And I think it's always a struggle with any like art piece or like any art is just to make sure people appreciate it fully, you know?
Yeah, like I said a little bit ago, is we're embedded to care about what people think of us.
Yeah.
We are always seeking out validation. Whether if you want to agree with it or not, you are totally always trying to get the pat on the back. Get the, hey, you did great. That's because when I paint, obviously I'm going to paint what I want. And I don't give a fuck what people think. But I'm still a human being and I'm still a person. So when I'm painting, I have that little voice in the back of my head that's like, well, do you think someone will like this?
Yeah.
I hope this would sell. I hope someone would like this because I don't want to make something that people don't like.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think like stuff that you like I have this one song that I wrote that's like, I think is like the largest expression of myself that there is, you know? But it's always like, I've always thought that everyone else would think it's really shitty because it doesn't have like a real chord progression. It's kind of like all over the place. I was like, that's bad. But every like when I play like a collection of songs to someone or like when I'm in a band, that's always like people's favorite. It's really weird.
That's something that's so common with art is the stuff that you don't necessarily like.
Yeah.
You don't put all your effort in, that's the shit that people like.
Really? No, I was saying like that was the one that I did like really good on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like it was just like kind of weird. It's kind of out there, but yeah.
Oh.
No, I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
Because that is something that happens a lot. Like with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like one of their most popular songs, "Under the Bridge," right?
Yeah.
He wrote it.
Didn't they fucking hate "Under the Bridge"?
Well, he wrote it and he threw it away.
Yeah.
He just threw it in the trash, and then someone came up and he took it out of the trash and read it, and he's like, "Dude, this is so good." John, right?
Yeah.
That's not his name, John?
John Frusciante.
Yeah, John Frusciante, right? He took it out of the trash and he's like, "Dude, this is so good. Why would you throw this away?" And it's like my favorite song by them by far.
Yeah, "Under the Bridge" is actually good.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
You like them. You like them.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Also, I think it's like really easy if you like focus on something for a while to be like to kind of like, for me, I call it like ear fatigue. Like there'll be times where I'll be like, this song sucks, and I'll throw it away for like a year or more, and then I'll be like, whoa, this is the best thing I've ever written. You know?
That's so true. My art teacher tells me that you have to walk away, look at something else, not think about it, and then come back and look at it.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a different perspective. You won't be like we've been looking at each other for so long, it's like, you just kind of look like the wall to me, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
You don't really stand out, but if I were to see you in the street, like in a week or so, you'd pop out.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen you in so long. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That's like kind of I have like a big thing, like I really want to get stuff because this is like, I think the big difference with music and like physical art is music, like it doesn't really exist, you know? If you don't have like any, even if you do have recordings, like, or I guess, if you don't have any recordings, like, does any of your songs really exist? Like, it exists in the moment.
Like if the tree falls in the woods.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
And so I have this thing where like, I just like really want to get like recordings all the time. I want to record everything. So then I'm like, yep, this exists. This is there. And then you never have to think about it again, you know?
Yeah, that's, you're totally right. To go David Lynch, right?
Yeah.
He says that pretty much the same thing. It's like ideas are gifts from the universe.
Yeah.
And so for you to not in that moment, that idea, take it and then go write it down and work with it and see where it takes you. You're giving up a gift. You're giving up a idea. It might be not as good as you thought it would be, and it might be trash, or it might be the best thing you just thought of all week. But if you don't give it the chance and write it down and take it and record it, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You never know what it'll become. Same thing with music.
Agreed.
What do you think dreams are?
Dreams?
Do you dream? I dream every night.
Really?
I'm a very vivid dreamer. What about you?
I for me it's like cycles. Sometimes I'll have like very vivid dreams and like, dang, that's crazy, but then I like will never remember it, or I'll just like never dream.
Really?
But I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion about dreams, I guess.
That's so weird.
I've had like, I think I've had one. It wasn't really a prophetic dream, and it wasn't really like a. Actually, I thought it was a dream for a while, but basically, I experienced my birth from the viewpoint of my older brother. Like, exactly.
Whoa.
It was really trippy. Like, when I was really young, too.
That's
Because I've, like,
trippy.
remembered it for a while, and I always thought, like, I remember when I was 3, I thought I was older than my brother, because I thought it was my brother experiencing. I thought I was, like, experiencing my brother's birth. And when I was 3, I was like, wait, my brother's older than me. Then how do I remember his birth? And then I was like, wait, I was my brother. And then I was like, cool. And I just like forgot about it for like till I was like 14. And I just had that memory and I was like, oh, that's crazy. But yeah, no, it was like, and it's like exactly the same way like my brother would recount the story. But I actually don't even remember. I don't even know if he remembers when I was born. But like the same people were there, you know? And the same stuff happened. Yeah.
That's so peculiar.
Yeah. It was weird. I don't even know, but it could be like one of those things where it's just like a memory that you've heard like so often.
Yeah, you
that
kind of
it just like it's just like
make
in
it
there.
up.
But I don't know. I have like a very specific memory though of like as a very young child, like being 3, like figuring out that my brother was older than me and not younger than me, or at least that because I was younger than him, I wasn't actually there when he was born. Yeah.
I have a very vivid memory, and like I said, we can make up memories.
Mm-hmm.
We can totally think up memories, but I don't think this memory was made up because I remember it. I was super young. I had to have been like 3 or something. And I just thought to myself, I was like, here we go again. Right? I'm 3. I'm going to daycare.
Yeah.
You know, I just woke up from
Yeah.
dreaming, right? And I just think to myself, here we go again.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That is weird.
You know, and like I said, I could have made it up.
Yeah.
I don't think I made it up.
Yeah.
But I want to hold a candlelight to it, I guess you could say. But that's just something I've always kept on to. It's like we are totally living. I just don't think that. I think there's no way that there's just not something going on here.
Yeah.
You know, we're not, like you said, we're not meat sacks floating on a rock in darkness.
Yeah, because like even if we are honestly, that's kind of like a crazier conclusion than there not being something like because like think of all the stuff, the random stuff we've like created, like culture and stuff. Like I guess it took like millions of years for it to develop.
Well, humans have only been
insane.
around for
Yeah.
they've only been around for like a couple thousand years.
Dude, do you think there was like ancient civilizations that were like not human or like advanced ancient I kind of do too. Like,
look into you ever heard about like the rainforest and what's under the rainforest?
No, I haven't.
You should totally look into that.
Is it like that's like in South America? Yeah.
There's what I remember correctly from listening to this guy talk, there's like geometric shapes that are under the rainforest because the rainforest is being deforested, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're starting to recover these like ancient ruins that are like super like covered in dirt and soil, and they're just like in like there's squares, rectangles, or like pentagons, and like these super obscure, unnatural shapes.
Yeah.
All across the rainforest. And the theory is that the civilization was so advanced that they like knew how to like not how you would think advanced, not whoa, word I can't say, technologically, that word, not that kind, but just so in tune with the earth and whatever this is, right, that they were able to like talk to the soil and make the soil grow at an alarming rate with their food, and so they were able to live off this utopia, and then the white man came in and totally fucked them over, or something happened and then the rainforest grew from that soil.
I think I think like especially if you look at like Aztec and specifically I guess Aztec and like a little bit of Incan like mythology, like if you just read it, it's literally like how are they not talking about aliens right now?
Yeah.
Like it's literally like so humans, this was like the third attempt of life by like this one god who looks like exactly like an alien. Like it's crazy. That's like what their mythology was. And like but it's also just like a lot of their a lot of their beliefs were based around like astronomical phenomenons and shit, which you wonder like did that come from like alien technologies or not alien technology but alien influence, or did that like wait, what was I saying? Yeah, like did there like the importance of astronomy and astronomical phenomenons, did that come from alien influence on their like mythology, or did the astronomical phenomenons like influence their mythology kind of, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
half
like
full, half
or like
empty.
yeah, it could be either way. I don't know.
Well, it's when you like you bring that up because I might be wrong in saying this.
Yeah.
But the pyramids,
dude, they were made way before they're telling us, man.
Yeah, totally.
Big Egyptology, they're lying to us. Well, like I know about this. Yeah,
the pyramids, like it's like the Fibonacci sequence, right?
Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence.
You'd probably know more about this than I do, but I just know like the pyramids, like there's just no fucking way that humans made it.
Yeah, well, because if you look at so like there's three things like for me, I think. Let me think. Yeah, like three. So basically, if you look at every other like culture that had a big architectural like advancement, you know, it wasn't because of like just a shit ton of labor. It was because some advancement in technology, right? But like literally every other culture except for like Egypt, they say the reason that the pyramids were built was because the whole like country of Egypt just put all their slaves and like all their manpower behind building these pyramids for whatever reason. And then like also if you look at, which is crazy because if you look at like the pyramid itself, the stones they used, they would use massive stones that were just like hundreds of miles away. And like the way they carried them was like the technology at the time was like reed ropes made out of reeds, and they just like
no way.
There's no way. And then also I'm pretty sure they uncovered like this one manuscript by this one pharaoh that basically said, yeah, like all of this stuff that we found, like the Sphinx and the pyramids, that came before us. Like we just found this and added to it and like kind of adopted it as our own. And then also, a big one for me is if you look at other cultures, right? Usually they start like very not advanced, and then like slowly they become more advanced, and then like they'll dip. Like I think the Incas and the Aztecs, they dipped eventually because of overpopulation or something like that. But if you look at Egypt's, if you looked at Egypt's, they started really advanced. And then they just like for their time, and then they just went downhill from there. So it looks like also if you look at a lot of the stones, like the stones are a lot older than, or like were placed there a lot of time before a lot of Egyptologists say they were placed there. And it's literally been something we've been debating for so long. But if it is actually like if the pyramids were built like way before that we said it was, which like a lot of evidence points to, that would basically make us rethink like evolution theory, and like not evolution theory but just like humans evolving from apes, where we evolved from in South Africa. Because if you look at like how far, like even now from when like they think that humans first evolved to now, scientists are like, how the hell did we popularize this much of the globe and like develop this fast? It's crazy. Like how fast do we spread, you know? But yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence too in like Aztec and Incan culture that I'm just not gonna get into. But yeah.
Please, you can if you want.
Dude, okay.
I like it. This is
Actually, no,
interesting.
I literally talk about this all the time.
Please share it, dude.
Okay, so basically, if you look at what's the I can't think of the name. What's the big structure that they have? Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, like one of the most famous ones, right? And if you look at how ancient civilizations, how they progress, especially when they're building some massive city, is they start by using like tiny stone, not tiny stones, like small bricks. You know, they start by building with small bricks. Okay, like every other one, they start by using small bricks, and then eventually they progress to the point where they're like, oh, like we should be using bigger bricks. They start using like stones that they cut out, you know, because those are stronger. So a lot of times they have like big bricks built on top of small bricks, right? But if you look at Machu Picchu, it looks more like some advanced civilization came in and built all these structures using like stones instead of bricks, like big square stones. And then whoever inhabited it at the time, left. Yeah, whoever inhabited it first left. And then like all the Mayas or Incas, I forgot which Aztecs, I forgot which culture it was, came in and basically made a bunch of like structures using small bricks. Like they were like, oh, this is cool, let's add to it using our shitty small bricks, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's some crazy stuff.
That's pretty. I've never heard of that. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I have a friend who's like really into it, and he's always like, Egyptology, man. Big Egyptology. They're lying to us.
Well, you know, it goes back to what we were saying about how we're being fed information.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I wouldn't even think, I think it's just like we have like a certain preconceived notion because people have been saying it for years. And then we're just like, yeah, that's true, and keep going, and then never like rethink that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's what it is. That's definitely what it is instead of what I said is kind of just not, and to go back to being fed everything, you know, being fed whatever we believe in is, I feel like a lot of people don't question anything.
Yeah.
They don't question what this is. What is me talking right now?
Yeah.
What is us sitting here looking at each other at this table? What is the sky? What is anything? You know, a lot of people just kind of settle for the comfortable answer.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable to be, you know, this is just God's creation and we'll all go to heaven after this, or this is just
meat sacks on a
rock, but there's more to it. There is more to it, and more to everything. That everything just has more to meet the eye, whether it's the pyramids, Facebook, you know,
it's
oranges.
all connected, man.
It's
all connected.
It's definitely an interesting time to be alive.